Okay, so looking at it today, daily looks like we can potentially drop, even though we are like still right on the 13 EMA. The possibilities of a sell are actually there. So can we drop to the 50 EMA? The possibility is also there. It could be today, it could be tomorrow. But if price actually comes below this gray zone here and retests, then the probability of coming all the way down to around 46.50 will actually be there. So again, price could give us something like this. So we should just pay attention here to how the current daily candle wants to play out. But for now, it looks like we've got that bearish bias. 4 hour as well looks like it's steady pushing down to that gray zone which we have on the bottom there. Then H1 now is where we need to look for a possible entry. So right here we have this order block here, which is around 48.30. So 48.30 point of interest. Current market price now, let's see. Because remember our setups originate from the 13 EMA, right, on H1. So price could actually sell from where we are. It's also possible, but at the same time, we are very close to yesterday's lows. So how I would love to take this trade is if price wants to drop right now, I'm going to let them drop. Then I'll pay attention to this level, which is yesterday's low. If they want to retest, then continue dropping. That's where I would look for sells. At the same time, price can still extend these highs, come back to this order block, then actually drop, which means if they do that, we're going to locate maybe an order block. Then we're going to sell when the order block is broken, or maybe a retest of that order block. For now, I'd say those are the two scenarios I'm anticipating on C5. At the same time, price can still trickle back up into the 50 EMA, because if you notice, we also have an order block right there, which is right here. So that's the third scenario which could happen. They could still come up into that order block, hit the trend line, hit the 50 EMA, and also give a sell. So those are my three views. It's either price drops, we allow it to drop without us, we wait for a retracement, then we enter. Or they will pull back. If they react on this area, we're going to look for a short-term sell coming back to yesterday's low. Then if they do break and retest, then we can also scale in. Then the worst case scenario, I guess, it will be price coming back into this broken zone here, which is an order block on the H1, and give us a pattern here. So they'll just be taking out some liquidity above this trend line here before we locate a sell. So we're just going to be actively stoking on C5 because it can potentially give us a trade. So keep our eyes on C500. C300 looks like it's bullish just by looking at H1. You know, when you look at H1, if you understand price action, you can already tell where your price is going. So right now it looks like it's bullish. Even yesterday, I didn't even attempt to look for sells because I realized price is simply trading above the 13 EMA and there was no need for me to look for any sells. To confirm that, if you look at the daily, you can see, I think we also mentioned it, you can also see prices was pushing towards the 13 EMA. That's where we are today. So again, from here, price can still push all the way up to the 50, maybe react around this area for short-term sells. But that would take some time because that's the daily chart. So in terms of today, in terms of a trade, for now, I don't have any setup until the current day's candle turns bearish. If this candle becomes bearish, then I'll look forward to scalp a sell. Right? If it turns bearish, as soon as it turns like red or black, depending with your sell candle colors, we can start actively looking for sells, as it will be going to be a rejection of the 13 EMA. But for now, we are bullish, and all we can do right now is wait. So 2180, that will be the point of interest. If price comes below 2180, it means the daily candle will be bearish, so we can look for a short-term sell. But for now, we are bullish. So on C3, I've got nothing. C5, we are stalking. C1000, okay, let's look at this, because I've been thinking this wants to go up. But at the same time, if you look at H1 now, looks like, if you notice, this was like a rejection candle. At some point, this was green. So I was looking at price coming back up to the 200 EMA. If you look at the daily as well, you can see we had that rejection or price slowing down, taking us some liquidity. So I've been anticipating price to push back towards the 13 EMA. So let's see, 53.15. 53.15. That's where price will most likely go, towards the 13 EMA. But looking at the current price, you can see that it looks like they could push down. Possibilities there, but if they do push down, it could be short term. At the same time, remember this 4-hour candle we marked. It's a 4-hour order block from last week. Price has been failing to break that zone. That's what I've noticed for now. So if I'm to sell, or if I'm to look for sales, I would want to see how this current 4-hour candle closes, of which it will only close like 4 hours from now. That means if it decides to drop now, I might not have a setup as yet, because it's very easy for this current candle to actually just spike, then still turn green and actually push up towards that level we are looking at. So for now, C1, I would say I actually have a bullish bias. H4 is showing mixed emotions because they failing to break here, so we could still push down. So we are really open to go either way here. We could sell, we could buy. When we come back to H1 now, you see that we're trading below the 13 EMA, which gives an intraday sell bias. Let's see. Yesterday, I had marked this red line. You see, that was my point of interest. If we had broken this yesterday, then I was going to look for sell. I remember we had a sell planned for this area, but if you notice, we did not have any candles giving us a rejection here, and price became bullish for that particular time frame. So today is still a bit tricky, but if we want to sell this now, there's this level here. So you can see from this impulsive move to this low, that again is a point of interest. So there's also liquidity below that area. So could we sell? Yes, we could. Could we go up? Yes, we could. So this is sort of there's no clean bias. It's either they'll go up or they'll come down. But the sell pattern for me is not yet there. There's no clear sell pattern. They could just potentially push up. If you notice, even after this huge bearish candle here, there was no follow through. Price simply turned and looked the other way. So if we want to sell this, just be careful with it. Based on the daily time frame, price could potentially go up. So let me just check the weekly. Let's see. So from the weekly, looking at the TDI as well, price is almost on the 32 level. But if you notice again, the weekly is not yet given a reversal candle here. So price can actually sell. The possibility of a sell is there. The possibility of a push up is there. So if you are looking at C1, let's just try to be patient with it. Maybe let's wait for an impulsive move. Then we trade the retracement. If it plays out like that, then we can take a sell. But for now, taking any sell at current market price would actually be a high risk trade. Rather get a nice impulsive move, wait for your retracement, then execute. So for now, the only 2 points of interest I have would be this level, which is the current lows of today, and this level here, which is this zone from yesterday. So if price can break those two, I can look forward to sell if we do get a retracement for a continuation, maybe to these lows at the bottom here. But otherwise, this price can also potentially push up back to this level here. So we'll just keep an eye on this one just to see what the dealer wants to do. So for now, there's nothing which we can use except these zones which are put on the chart. If we go back to M15, oh, okay, so from M15, like I said, I would love to see price drop. I actually like to see an impulsive move, a retracement, then I can sell. If they give me that, then I'll be very happy to take a sell on this trade. So let's just keep an eye. Let's keep stoking. I'm just going to leave it on H1 as well, just to see how price wants to act. B1, when I came earlier, I noticed this sort of like a bullish momentum today. If you see, you remember we spoke about the daily candle waiting for the daily to close. We are still trading within this range. Remember, we marked this range yesterday from the day before yesterday. And we're also looking forward to see what price wants to do. If we come up, then we're definitely going bullish. If we reject the 13 EMA, we're also definitely going bullish. But again, there's also potential for price to still come tap into this level, take out liquidity here, and also still go bullish. But for now, based on what we're seeing now, the probabilities of coming up are higher than the probability of the price coming down. So taking that bullish bias, we're going to jump to H4. Let's see if we've got any demand zone we can use. Nothing too solid except to see that price actually responded to this. If you see on H4, there's really no zone here, but I think it was like from H1, we'll confirm. Price actually just spiked below there and it's continued to push up. So here we've got these equal highs. If you switch to a line chart, you see those highs there. So that's a point of interest as well for safe buys. If we can break back above these highs, then most likely this price will actually push up. So let's do this. Okay. All right. So for now, say if I want to buy, I want to see price break that gray level. Then from there, going back to the day before yesterday's high, it's 50 pips. So that will actually be a good trade, but you can see we're still within that range. So let's also try to be patient with this setup, but I still feel the probability of the price playing out is also high. So what we want is price to break above 65.45. If we come above 65.45, we're going to take a buy and we're going to hold that buy until price gets to about 64.95, which is slightly above the day before yesterday's high. Right, that will be the initial target. Then if we stay above there, we can see price potentially continue pushing up. But for now, I'd say for today, 65.45, if we come back above that, I'm definitely executing a buy. Then I'll hold for 50 pips, 40 to 50 pips at least on that setup. If they do continue coming down, then we'll just watch, see what they do. So yesterday we had this point of interest, which price didn't really use. So it means this point was invalid. So we remove it. The next point we had, I remember, was this. So if somebody took a buy based on price rejecting this was also a good buy because it was just a short-term buy there, about 30 pips. I remember somebody mentioned a gap in there. There was a gap, but I did not trade this because it was late in the night and we were approaching gap time as well. So I did not take that. And we had also had some successful trades during the day. So I did not take that trade at all. I think the gap they noticed was this gap you see here. So if you notice a gap, you can just use the gap strategy, which is in the Telegram group. Execute your trade. But if you notice on this one, price didn't really like retrace into the gap. They just kept, then pushed up, pushed up, pushed up. But if you're stalking, obviously you would have had one position right there waiting for price to retrace. So you might have caught a few pips. If you had maybe buy limits, maybe this might have activated you. Another gap here, you would have opened one position, maybe a buy limit. So it was good for scalps, but the timing or the time when it happened, it was a bit late for me to even execute. So for today, we'll just wait for that safe entry buy at the top there. Right now, its price is retracing. We just want to see where they want to react. So two things can happen. Price can come react off the 800 EMA, 50 EMA, 200 EMA. You can see all the EMAs are here. So this is a very huge dynamic support area right here. So if we get a reaction here, we can take an early buy, right? Early buy. Then if we break above here, we can add. Then if we stay above, you can still scale in and you can take your 50 pips. But again, now if price continues to come down and they do this, then it could be a bearish bias for the day, just based on the price action which we will be having here. So the only main point of interest where I'm looking for price to react is right on these moving averages. Here I had marked this order block just to see if price can actually bounce off here and push up. So here I cannot buy, but I can buy above here. If we do react here, then I can also buy from that bottom part there. So that's my view for B500. We can actively stoke on this one because based on the daily, that rejection on the 13 EMA, for me, it shows that price still or has possibility or potential to come take out this liquidity here. So if you see here, there's not really like a spike up to say liquidity was taken. So I'm anticipating a push from this area to actually go up. That's where my bias is coming from. So I'm going to leave this on M15. We'll keep stoking to see if price still wants to come to the 800 EMA, or they will react from here, but I'll then buy from 65.45. So that's my personal view on B500. Then B1000, we caught a nice trade yesterday. And for this particular setup, I was just aiming for the current high of yesterday. So again, price came, bounced off here. We had a nice order block. So it was a break and a retest of the order block, and price just moved in fifth. This was the fastest trade yesterday, which we actually caught. So those who actually didn't close here, or those who didn't have TP here, they actually maybe took their profits somewhere on top here because it was a very, very fast move. So looking at it today, what do we have? So if we zoom in, daily has been bullish. We do not have a reversal candle yet on the daily to show us that they want to retrace. Current day's candle is no wick on the bottom, so chances of the price retracing down are there. So it's more or less of a 50-50 in terms of bias. Weekly shows that it can potentially expand as well to the top side, but also be in mind that the weekly might even just close like this, which means price will just end up playing inside this candle if it decides to do that. But otherwise, the bias is bullish on B1000, coming from the weekly bullish, daily bullish. H4, we need any form of demand zone or an order block. So from this price action, the level which we see, which was retested, I have this. Then we've got this level, which was also retested here. So could they be coming to this level? That's possible. But again, they can still come into a previously tested level, which could mean they want to come back here. Why? Because you see the 13 EMA will also be in line with that level. So if price can come to this level and start showing us reactions, we can still take buys. But at the same time, bear in mind that H4 has slowed down here. So currently we can get that retracement. Then for us to buy, we need to get a reaction first around this area, which is also in line with this order book here. So I'll say from H4, that right there is a point of interest. All right, so price can retrace into that level, bounce, then push up. So dropping to H1, that level, you can see it's an order block there. I'm just going to remove these tiny levels there. All right, so we also have the 50 EMA on H1. So I would say for me today, I'll just patiently wait for price maybe to come react around this area here. At the same time, if we do get a reaction here, if H1 gives us a candlestick pattern which we recognize, we can still take buys right from the current market price there. So if I'm to buy, if they react, I would love to buy just above. If you see the last H1 candle there, you can just mark its high. So if price reacts on the 13 EMA, safe buys will be above that red line or above the high of the last H1 candle. But otherwise, we'll just wait to see how price is going to react. So we're going to also leave this one on H1. A minor zone which we have would be this one, which is where price can also react. But for now, let's just patiently wait and see what the dealer wants to do. So on the TDI, what am I looking for as a confirmation? Seeing that we are back below the yellow baseline, maybe we might touch the bottom volatility band or we might touch the 50 static, which means this will actually be a dip move down before price actually decides to push up. But we'll just keep an eye and see what they actually want to do. So I'll keep checking C5, C1. Okay. All right. So that's it for B1. These are my points of interest. On the 13 EMA, I'm just paying attention. I cannot buy here, but I can buy above this level. If price comes lower, this level now becomes invalid and we start paying attention to this level. If they break this level, that level again will become invalid and will be remaining with this level here. Then from here, we can wait for a full pattern to form like a W pattern or any familiar pattern we know. Then we can execute buys. Otherwise, if nothing forms on all these points, it means for now, I do not have anything solid on B1000. Then going to step index. For some reason, I remember yesterday I mentioned I was looking at buys, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to zoom in. This is the reason I was looking for buys. We're looking at this, right? Price was above the 13 EMA. This looked like a rejection, and I wanted price to at least come to the 200 EMA or this level. This particular example shows you that price will do what price wants to do. As much as I had a bullish bias, price actually decided to sell and actually break a lot of levels. They broke 1, 2, 3, 4 days of work was broken within 1 day. So my bullish bias was literally invalid here. So how do you know that your bias is now invalid? It's very simple. Your favorite time frame has to be the H1. So from the daily, you jump to the H1 to confirm your daily bias. And there's only one thing which is going to help you confirm your daily bias. And that one thing is going to be the 13 EMA. So what you will notice is price was pushing up. They came, they bounced, they pushed up. Then they came and closed below the 13 EMA. Soon as you see this, if you're in a buy, you close your trade or your stop loss will be hit or whatever. Soon as you come below the 13, the bias for the day, for that particular day, is now bearish. That's one thing you should know. The bias will be bearish. If you look to your left, if you've got zones, if you notice price came, broke all zones, it actually broke this level and retested. So now you're convinced price is selling. If you're waiting for it on the 50 EMA, because the 50, remember, it's a dynamic support zone, and you're looking forward for buys, since the daily had a buying time frame, a buying bias, price still broke that level. They came, they broke the 200. You see, they're just breaking all levels. So soon as you start seeing your support levels get broken, just know that your bias for that particular day is now bearish. So if you're looking for buys, you can start looking for sells. But if you're confused and you still strongly think it will buy, then don't trade until price comes back above the 13 EMA, or don't trade until you see a new buy pattern form. So in this example, price slowed down here, but they never came above the 13 EMA. So this was a very, very strong bearish day which just came from nowhere. So that's one thing you need to put on your notes. If you see price breaking your support zones when you have a buying bias, just know the trend is now bearish. If you see price breaking resistance zones when you have a selling bias, just know price is bullish. So those are some of the things you just need to put on your notes. And things which I mentioned like this, sometimes I won't repeat them because I'm just assuming people will be taking notes as we do these sessions. So what do we have on our step index for today? So we're going to come back to the daily, and you will notice that you remember we also mentioned this zone that price can still come hit that zone. So as much as we want to go up or as much as you want to go down, just know price can actually go the opposite way. So we had this zone which was not tapped into. They've tapped into it today. What can happen now is price can still continue with its merry way up, but based on indicators and everything we're looking at right now, price for me is bearish. So if I'm going to trade this, I would rather look for sells than look for buys. But at the same time, as much as I want to sell, I know that this is a strong zone or it's a support zone where price can actually bounce from and push up. Here we've got this lower high, we've got an order block here. So which means if we want to sell, we would rather wait for a pullback than a continuation down. So we cannot really sell from current market price based on the daily time frame. We would rather wait for a for better price action for us to actually continue going down. So this is how I would approach step index. But if you drop down to H4, again, we're looking for what? We're looking for supply zones. So on this huge impulsive push down, they didn't leave any order block here. The only level which we have would be this level. The next level which we would have would be this order block here. This M pattern, this high left, this order block. So that's another point of interest there. And these are all points of interest for potential sells. If for some reason price comes back above these two levels, that means that buy which we had, or that buy bias which we had, will still continue. So for this right now, I would anticipate a retracement for price to push back up, which means we can actually look for possibilities of a short-term buy. That's how I would approach step index for now. Otherwise, if everything is just confusing, it's always best to leave it. Then trade it when we see something which we can use. If you look on the H1, points of interest, near that level which was broken, we've got this order block here. Right at the top there. Then after that, we also have another order block here. These are all points of interest. These are not sell limits. These are just points of interest. So if we want to buy, those are the targets which we'll actually be heading towards. Then we also have this zone here, which is also in line with this area which was broken. So those are the 3 points of interest where price can go to, or even up here, or even up here. But in terms of a clean buy setup, I do not have any. Sell setup, I can only sell if price comes up here and rejects, or if price comes up here and rejects, or if price comes up here and rejects. But as in terms of a clean buy setup, I do not have anything. So that means in terms of trading step index today, I do not have a trade. So as soon as you like struggle to come up with a setup on an asset, just know it's always best to leave it for that day. Rather trade something which has got something which is a bit clear and understandable. Then going to jump 10, I want you to pay attention to how price reacted on the 13 EMA and the 800 EMA. This is almost the same as B5 on the daily. That's what we are anticipating. A rejection of the 13 EMA will always result in a good buy setup. So this setup is already in motion. So that's a daily buying bias which we have. Soon as we have a bias, I don't usually look at H4 since price hasn't really given a huge impulsive move. So I'll rather jump to H1 and see what I can get there. So from H1, I've got yesterday's highs as a point of interest, and I've got an order block which was left earlier in the morning, which is this one. This is also a potential demand zone as well. So if price can retrace either to this level or to this level, then I'll take buys. So it's just as simple as that. The bias is bullish. That means we are only looking for buys, right? So if price comes to our points of interest and those points of interest hold the price, then we can take a buy. But I feel like yesterday's high will actually hold the price as it's going to be a potential flip zone area. So that will be around 91,500. Soon as price gets to around 91,500, if you're trading jump 10, that's an area where you can actually potentially start looking for buys. Then the next thing you can do is, let's say price, let's say for some reason they decide to continue pushing up. Soon as we start to see them retrace, then we can run a fib to wherever they start retracing from. Then we can use the fib retracement levels as points of interest as well. So if you're actively trading jump 10, I think that's the best way to approach it today. So J10 has got potential to pay bullish bias. Step, I do not have any clean setup here. B1000, we're waiting for it on these points of interest here, but we just need to exercise extreme patience with it. Because even the past 2 days, I remember we didn't have anything clean until price came above the 13 EMA. Same applies to yesterday. They did not get into this zone. They rather reacted on this top area and this top week as well. But the best setup formed when we came back above the 13 EMA. Same applies today. If we start pushing down, then we come back about the 13, then we can look for buys. Otherwise, there won't be any setup to take the B500s. Like I said, daily looks like we are rejecting the 13 EMA, so I'm leaning on those buys. So this also looks like it's got potential to pay out. So it's B5, J10, C1. We'll just keep an eye on it. C5, we've marked our points of interest. We'll also keep an eye on it. C3 is bullish. So we've got C5 for a potential trade. C1, I don't think I'll pay much attention to it. So I've got C5, I've got B5. Then I'll drop B1 in J10. Those are my 4 assets for today. So it's C5, B5, B1, and J10. Those are my 4 assets for the day. This is what I'll mainly be stalking, of which out of these 4 assets, I only need one of them to give me something solid for me to actually execute. So that's it from me, guys. If you still have any questions, I think I've got 3 minutes left or slightly above 2 minutes. You can proceed to ask your question. If we get timed out, you can still ask your question in the Telegram group, then I can still respond. J10, it looks like it will form later, so I'll just remove it from this watch list. The reason I'm leaving B1 here is because when B1 gives something, it usually pays fast if the setup is valid. You can also see this is an uptrend. This is higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, possible higher low, possible higher high. So that's why I'm keeping an eye on B1000. So I don't know if there's any questions on today's session. If there's nothing, thank you so much, guys, for joining. If I execute on these trades, I'll drop the signals in the group. So now we just mark the charts. All we have to do is to wait for the setups to complete forming, then we can execute on the trades. So apart from that, thank you so much, guys, for joining. We'll catch up in the group. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good trading.